Ground ball. McLean, second. 12 in a row. The oldest team in professional baseball has its 5th ever winning streak of a dozen straight.
Our job every day is to try to kick somebody's ass. I mean, that's why we're here.
That is caught. Left center. Reds win.
And this ball is launched high and very deep to right, long gone. It's second of the night. Ellie De La Cruz.
Short lead for Pena. Logan drills it. Do you believe this? It's going to be gone. Back to back. Walk-off home runs. How about this? He's back. He's back. He's back.
And a swing and a drive. Deep left field. This one belongs to the Reds. Swung on and hit deep to left field. That ball is going to be gone. Home run. And the Reds put it tied to 4.
Goes to second one. Around to first. Got a double play. And the Reds sweep the Cubs. Breaking ball. Hit high. Hit deep. Way back there. And gone into the second deck and left. Christian Encarnacion Strand walks it off.
Archer does it in his major league debut. He gets the final 3 outs, and the Reds get an extra inning win. A thriller 5-4.
Swung on. Fly ball. Hit the deep right field. That ball is going to be gone. A grand slam home run by Mike Cameron.
2 outs, 2 on. Reds down by 1. Larkin down the line. It's a winner. It's a winner. Here comes Tucker. Here comes Steins. Larkin's won the game. Barry Larkin gets mobbed. Look at this scene. It's synergy.
The stretch, the pause and the pitch. And a line drive, base hit left center field. A single for Aaron Boone. And this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won 8 in a row.
Kobayashi with a long look turns it loose, and Dunn hits it to deep right. It's all over. And this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won their 5th game in a row. They've defeated the Cleveland Indians on an Adam Dunn 3-run home run, 4-2. Again on the corners at first and third. 2 on, nobody out. Here's Royce Ring pitching, no bunt. Ground ball by the third baseman into left field. Jay Bruce rounds third. This one belongs to the Reds.
That's it pretty good. Guess what? He doesn't need speed. That's gone. He's the king of the Queen City tonight.
With 1 out here in the 11th inning, you sure got to go now. One on, pull down the left field line. That ball is going to get the winning run in. Here comes Jay Bruce rounding third, heading toward the plate. And this one belongs to the Reds.
Huge situation for Votto. Why you paying the big bucks to deliver the goods with 2 outs in the 9th inning? Can he do it? In the gap, right center field, and Votto delivers the goods.
Hit deep center field. Hank Hill going back at the warning track. Oh, he gets one. It's gone. Joey Votto is delivered.
How we doing, Reds fans? Welcome in. Today is June 20th, 2025, and this is your Chatterbox Reds pregame show. My name is Mike Hart, and with me is a guy who is furiously typing out the St. Louis Cardinals lineup because they decided to release it literally 3 minutes ago. Ricky Logan, how are you doing? Do you need me to stall for you some more? I can start talking if you want.
I am channeling my best Nick Kirby at the moment.
Yeah.
Thank God for that intro. I've almost got it done. But yeah, they decided to post it literally 2 minutes ago. So yeah.
About an hour before first pitch, they started going. So
yeah, but doing well.
That's great. That's great to hear. Hopefully we can start this series off with a win here as we go into for a short series into St. Louis. But before we get started with the lineups, we have some bigger news that we need to go talk about as we move into tonight's game. There were some transactions that came across the wire. So first off, we see that our friend Wade Miley was placed on the IL with a left flexor strain. That doesn't sound good. I'm not sure how that necessarily would tie into what he's had previously. Like he just came off of Tommy John surgery. Hopefully that's not it's not related. It's something that he can come back for, just because, you hate to see a guy go out like this. And I know he's not been amazing, but I've really enjoyed his time just as a person here in Cincinnati. So I really hope that he's able to get back and pitch again. But we won't know. It's a 15-day IL, but I would imagine with the flexor strain that would take a little bit longer. So because we have this, we have a corresponding move, actually kind of two of them. We have Connor Phillips, who you might recognize. He's the number 15 prospect in the Reds system. He made 4 starts in 2023. They went okay, not great, but in Louisville last year really imploded and really struggled, couldn't find the strike zone. I think he ended up going all the way back down to the
ACL
complex league. Yeah. And but this year they changed him from a starter to a reliever, and he has been pretty good there. And so he's coming up. But then we have Chase Petty also, who is being put on the taxi squad. And what this is, I think it's kind of like a precursor. I think Chase Petty is going to be the starter for Wade Miley. Wade Miley is supposed to start tomorrow, but Connor Phillips is on the roster for this game just to add additional bullpen depth. We'll get to it in the bullpen, but I think 4 guys threw over 30 pitches yesterday. So they're just looking to get a little bit more flexibility when it comes to the bullpen tonight. And most likely Connor Phillips will either get sent down or maybe somebody else will, but probably Connor Phillips will get sent back down to Louisville today after the game or tomorrow after the game. And Chase Petty will be the one who starts tomorrow's game in St. Louis against Sonny Gray. So Ricky, how are we looking? How's that lineup looking?
We got it in there. We got it in there.
Great. What are your thoughts on some of these roster moves that have happened so far? Maybe start with Wade Miley.
Yeah, it was kind of surprising that happened. I don't think there was any news out of the game with the Cleveland start, right? That there wasn't any news about him possibly being injured. So that was kind of surprising. Maybe it's just him not pitching for a while and then going 5-6 innings, couple starts in a row and having those rehab stints. But Chase Petty is a really good pitcher. It's just I think it's just too soon for him. He's got that 21.94 ERA this year, a whip at almost 4. And he's looked like he's just not ready. And it sucks because I'm really high on Chase Petty. I think he could be a really good pitcher for the Reds organization. It's just too soon. Yeah,
and I think back to Wade Miley, I think that the fact that maybe we didn't hear anything out of the game that he did, that maybe that's a better sign for him health-wise. Maybe it was something that happened, they tweaked. But either way, Chase Petty, you're right, has struggled so far in the majors. In fact, he made one of his 2 starts this year against St. Louis, and I think he gave up 2 1/3 innings pitched, 7 hits, 9 earned runs, 2 home runs, and only 3 strikeouts. So not good. However, Chase Petty, since being sent back to AAA on May 21st, has looked pretty good in Louisville. We got 16 and 2/3 innings pitched. That's over, I think, 4 starts, 12 hits, but only 5 runs and 17 strikeouts, and then 10 walks. So still kind of the guy that we were expecting, guy that has electric stuff, can strike guys out, but can be wild. And people forget, too, that Chase Petty is younger than Chase Burns, right? We got him when he was 18 or 19, and Chase Burns came in as a college guy. So, yes, I completely agree with you. I think that he is not quite ready for the spotlight. Let's hope that he can show us some level of improvement from his 2 starts, especially since he's got to go against their ace Sonny Gray on Saturday. But I think that ultimately it's sad, but given that Chase Burns clearly is not the option here, if you're going on numbers, it would clearly be Chase Burns that you're bringing up here. But Chase Petty is, I think he's the best that we have other than that for bringing up. And, I think it just makes tonight's game even more important.
Yeah, and this is where you kind of hope that Rhett Lauder could have been healthy. He could have been that guy coming up instead of Chase Petty.
Right. And, back to Connor Phillips, and since he's been moved to reliever in AAA, he's had frankly a kind of similar line to Chase Petty. 14 innings pitched, 5 earned runs, 10 hits, 12 strikeouts, 9 walks, and a 3.21 ERA. But in June, he's got a 1.59 ERA, 1.59 ERA. So let's hope that he's starting to really adjust to his new role. His stuff's kind of been playing up. I think he's hit over 100 a few times. So having a flamethrower out of the bullpen, I think can be helpful if he can really harness it and, throw strikes. I mean, we could say that about Luis May. We could say that about Zach Maxwell. We could say that about Lenny Torres Jr. We could say that about Connor Phillips, right? All these guys that throw gas, and we just need them to hone in their control. So hopefully we'll be able to get, if we do see him today, we'll be able to get that aspect of Connor Phillips. But let's get into today's game. Oh, actually, one more thing. I know I would be remiss if we didn't mention that Noelvi Marte has started his rehab assignment. I know you're a big Marte guy, Ricky. So that's good to see. The guy was doing great. It was really unfortunate when he got hurt. He came up and really made a difference with the Reds this year and really changed a bunch of people's minds. But it's good. Obliques can be nagging, so I'm glad that he's starting his rehab assignment.
Yeah, that's it. That would be a huge addition back in the lineup. Just if he could, even if he's, somewhat, 70% of what he was for this season. I mean, and when he came up and just took off, it added a dynamic to the lineup that, he wasn't hitting a ton of home runs, but he was driving guys in and he was hitting balls in the gaps. And that's the player he is. I think if he can be what I think he can develop into, and the ball's going to leave the ballpark. It's just, he's more of a line drive gap guy.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about tonight's lineup. So we're facing the St. Louis Cardinals in St. Louis. Ricky, why don't you walk us through what their Andre Pallante is going to be facing tonight?
Yeah, we got TJ Friedel leading off playing center field. Gavin Lux playing third, which he couldn't play that one day in Pittsburgh. Ellie De La Cruz playing shortstop. Tyler Stevenson DHing tonight. Spencer Steer playing first. Will Benson in left field. Jose Trevino behind the plate. Jake Fraley in right. And Matt McLean batting ninth, playing second base.
Yeah, I find it interesting. You mentioned Gavin Lux at third. CES not in the lineup again. I know he had been struggling, but it seems like after his hot start, he's kind of been relegated to bench bat. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe we never know what's going on behind the scenes, nagging injuries and things like that. Let's hope there's none of that. And we hope it's just like, this is the matchup that Tito thinks is going to be the best. And before we get any further, I forgot to mention, please like the stream. We really appreciate everyone being in here, everyone in the chat that's bringing up some good discussion for us and talking about Petty and Connor Burns and things like that. Please like the stream and subscribe to Chatterbox Reds. It really helps us out and helps get this out in front of more people. So if you could do that, that would be awesome for us. But back to CES, it's interesting because basically what he's choosing here is he's choosing Jose Trevino over him, right? He could put Lux at DH, Stevenson catching, and then CES at third. But instead, he's putting Trevino in the lineup, who, I know a lot of Reds fans, I think, are super excited about Trevino. I think he's been very good. And there's obviously a defensive component to this as well, right? Trevino, I think, is better defensively than Stevenson. And I don't know about any splits that there might be with Brady Singer, but whenever you can have that guy in the lineup, especially when he's hitting the way he is, I like it in the lineup. But it's interesting. They're saying, actually, we want Trevino in the lineup instead of CES. Kind of shows maybe where Tito is feeling about CES right now.
Yeah, and Trevino's had a pretty good bat. He's having a career season hitting. And Tyler Stevenson's been really hot in the last 15 games or so. In his last 7, he's batting 300 and slugging 467, and he's got that grand slam that he hit in Detroit. So he's heating up. I think he's finally getting over that oblique injury that he had. And when you have two catchers that are more specifically hitting, and we all liked Austin Wins, but I just think you got to make room for the other guys, and it just sucks that he had to be the guy to go. I know Trace loves Austin wins, and I do too in a way. But when you have Jose Trevino, who I think is a better framing catcher, and probably I think maybe calls a better game, but Stevenson has a stronger arm and he's got more pop in his bat. So like they're kind of a different dynamic, and you can honestly rotate those two in and out of DH and catching, and I think I like that for them. It just stinks that if like one of those guys gets out of the lineup, we just don't have a viable backup for them now. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on with the Wins trade for cash. But Stevenson, if he could stay on what he's been, like I think he's they're going to have discussions about a contract extension here coming up soon, because does he have 2 more years of arbitration and then he can walk, and he's already 28. So, I mean, you want to figure something out with him before it gets too late.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We could spend 20 more minutes talking about that, because also nipping at his heels, maybe not quite nipping yet, is Alfredo Duno, right? This guy who's a top 50 at some time in some list, top 25 prospect in baseball, who's young but is tearing up the minor leagues, where I guess he's in single A right now. Yeah. So to project him into the majors 2 years from now is probably a little aggressive. I think he's only 19, but still, like, you're right. There is that's an interesting decision that they'll have to do, but they're going to have to make a way more interesting decisions before then. Yeah. That I'm not going to lose any sleep over that right now. I'm just happy that we have both of these guys under contract for the next at least the next 2 years. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Brady Singer. Brady Singer in his last, he's 7-4 with a 4.34 ERA. So Mr. Run support, right? He's the guy that gets all kinds of run support for that. In his last start, he went 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 4 strikeouts against a good Detroit lineup in Detroit. So that was great. What are you seeing so far from Brady Singer, and what do you think he needs to attack tonight against St. Louis?
Yeah, he's been a pleasant surprise. It's been a good trade just getting him, and if he can just stay in the zone and not limit his walks and just keep the ball down, he's pretty good keeping the ball down and getting ground balls. But him facing this Cardinals lineup, he's actually done very well against these guys, and I guess we can go into that more later when we talk about the lineup. But if he can limit his walks and just, limit, but when he's walking guys, that's when he gets into trouble. And I think it was the Houston start where I don't think he had that many walks. The guys were just hitting him. But he's had some starts where he does let the walks kind of get out of control. And when he does that, he's more of a contact pitcher. He's not much of a strikeout guy, and that tends to lead towards more runs. And thankfully for him, like, we have had a ton of run support for him. His first start, we put up 14 against Texas. So I mean, it's not ideal, and it's not going to last. It's just, if he can limit the walks and keep his command in check, I think it puts the Reds in a really good position to win.
Yeah, it seems like his walks almost always seem to come back and score. It's like, oh man, that leadoff walk came around and scored again. So yeah, let's go into the St. Louis lineup. I've seen some comments about Chase Burns and things like that. We'll touch that a little bit later. I want to get to this lineup here, but we can discuss a little bit more about that later. But looks like for the Cardinals, Brandon Donovan is going to be leading off, playing second. Mason Wynn batting second, playing short. Alec Burleson, lefty, playing first and batting third. Nolan Gorman playing third and batting fourth. And then Thomas Sagesi. Not sure if I said that
works
one
for
right.
me.
He's the DH. I know they recently just had to send down Ivan Herrera or put him on the IL, so he might have been a corresponding move. Lars Nootbaar, one of the best names in baseball, playing left. Jordan Walker, their prize prospect that has been still struggling a little bit, playing right field. Pedro Pajes catching and batting eighth, and Victor Scott, center fielder, batting ninth. So you have some numbers on how these guys have fared so far against Singer. I know they faced him earlier this year.
Yeah, so according to Baseball Savant, active Cardinals are 3 for 21 with 3 walks. Wilson Contreras is 1 for 4 with a I thought there was a walk there. 1 for 4. Brendan Donovan's 0 for 3. Arenado's 0 for 3. Nootbaar's 0 for 2 with a walk. Nolan Gorman's 0 for 1 with a walk. Victor Scott's 1 for 2. Mason Wynn's 1 for 2 with a home run and a walk. Alec Burleson's 0 for 2, and this guy's not playing. He's 0 for 2.
Yeah, I mean, the big absence here is Nolan Arenado, TC Thompson. A few people and Christian Wolf in the chat have kind of pointed that out. No Nolan Arenado, who kind of feels like he's on the back end of his career, but feels like he's also had some really big hits against the Reds. So I'm never that sad when he's out of the lineup. Another thing too, Pallante, we'll get to him, but he's a severe ground ball pitcher, and to have Arenado's glove out of third base also, I think is good. I know Nolan Gorman. I don't know how Nolan Gorman rates defensively, but I can't imagine it's better than Nolan Arenado, who's won 6 Gold Gloves or something like that. So, that's always a good thing. Hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of, maybe it's just a day off. He did, I think, probably play both of their double headers. I guess we should say, St. Louis played a doubleheader yesterday. They swept that doubleheader against the White Sox, but they are still 3-9 in their last 10 games. So they are still kind of coming in sputtering, and we're hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of that tonight. Let's talk a little bit about Andre Pallante. Andre Pallante, we've actually already previewed him. We had the pregame show on April 28th when he pitched last time, and at that point, I think he started his career 5-0 with like a 1.25 ERA against the Reds. So was really good. But in his last 2 starts, he's 0-2. We've gotten to him one time last year, and then earlier this year he went 6 innings, 3 runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. So if we can get, 3 runs, I'd love to get more than 3 runs there, but you never know. Hopefully we figured out our Andre Pallante problem, and we'll be able to score some runs on him tonight. What do you think about Pallante?
Yeah, he's allowed 2 earned runs in each of his last 11 starts, and he's got a 5.55 ERA in that span. On the season, he's 4-3 with the 4.83 ERA. He's at 3.1 walks per 9, so he is kind of walking guys. And active Reds are 22 for 94 against him. Friedel's 2 for 17. Ellie's 3 for 12. Steers 2 for 10. Fraley is 3 for 9. Lux is 3 for 8. Tyler Stevenson's 2 for 4. Jose Trevino's 2 for 4 with the home run. I believe that came in the opening, the first series this season. And Will Benson's 1 for 4, and Matt McClain's 0 for 5.
Yeah, it looks like in that first game, Gavin Lux went 3 for 4 with a run. Noelvi Marte went 1 for 2 and 2 walks. And Trevino homered, solo home run, went 1 for 3 in that game. I think those were the 3 runs that he gave up. Ellie and Matt McClain also got a hit. So, that's good. Seeing a guy like that and seeing him again, hopefully is a benefit to us. I know that the Cardinals are going to be seeing Brady Singer again. So hopefully we'll be able to he'll be able to show something different. And so that, but this may lead to past division rivals that have seen each other a bunch, that seen each other earlier this year. This may lead to a decent amount of runs so far. So let's look at the pitching path to victory. I mentioned it earlier, but the bullpen had been very, very rested. But yesterday, because nobody could seem to throw a strike, 4 different pitchers pitched over 30 pitches, and that's part of the reason why Connor Phillips is here. He's here because there's people that are, maybe they hadn't pitched in a while, but they had a good amount yesterday. Barlow, Santillan, and Pagan did not pitch yesterday, so I guess Barlow maybe is slotting into the Graham Ashcraft 7th inning role, but those guys all seem to be fresh, so that's good. If we come in with a close game, we can get 6 out of Brady Singer. And then, whenever you have a doubleheader, every single person in the St. Louis bullpen pitched yesterday. I think they even had a guy pitch in both games. So, Their closer, Helsley, only pitched 10 pitches, so he's probably available. But you never know who's available and what's going on with all that kind of stuff. So hopefully we can catch some of these guys fatigued and maybe drive in some runs late as well to seal a win. What are your thoughts on the bullpen?
Yeah, I guess talk about the Cardinals first. Helsley, he's got a 3.96 ERA. And he's allowed an earned run in 4 straight games that he's appeared in. He's blown 3 consecutive save opportunities too. So maybe if there's a chance that we are trailing and we have to face him, he struggled here lately. So there is a chance that we could maybe rally like we've been doing here lately. And then the Cardinals with the doubleheader, they're on day 2 of 14 straight days without a day off. And they'll play 15 games in 14 days with the doubleheader yesterday. And with the Reds, with Ashcraft going on the IL, that kind of stinks. He has been struggling here lately, but he has overall, I think, been pretty well in the bullpen this season. And Tony Santillan hasn't pitched in 2 days. Him and Pagan have kind of been flip-flopping on closer, and maybe Tito's kind of going with matchups with that closer role. And I don't know, Trace and Nick have talked about it on the post-game show a lot, that with Barlow and Santillan, they're up near the top in the league in appearances. So kind of getting Santillan 2 days off in a row and getting Barlow 2 games off in a row, that really helps with them kind of getting rested too.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully it will be quiet for those guys. I know it's always good to get them days off. They obviously got the Lodolo start off because he pitched all 6 of the innings that we played. And then, so 2 days off is nice. But I think and I think maybe the Cowboy pointed this out yesterday, I think part of the struggle that we saw with the bullpen yesterday was that they hadn't pitched for so long. Like some of the back end of the bullpen guys, Suter and I'm trying to think who else, Richardson and things like that. They hadn't pitched in a while. So I think there comes a point where it's like, hey, I like the rest, but I also want to stay sharp. So having 2 days off feels like a good middle ground. Hopefully we can get these Pagan and Santillan in the game here, closing out a game. That would be great. Just because you want rest, but you don't want too much rest type thing, Yeah. So we have it's gonna be a fun one here. It looks like we have a couple comments that we wanted to get back to. First one was about Burns, Chase Burns. It was kind of implicit in what we were saying, right? But I think obviously Chase Burns would be the better option for tomorrow's game instead of Chase Petty, right? He's shown better numbers. He was, he has experience in the SEC, which is obviously not the big leagues, but we saw him put up better strikeout numbers than Paul Skeens did in the SEC. And I frankly don't think it would be that big of a bet to see that he came up here and went crazy and was as dominant as he's been in AAA, just because I think he's that good. He's that talented. He's that experienced. However, it seems like the Reds are pretty set on at least giving him a couple more starts in AAA. So while we would love to see Chase Burns, it makes sense that Chase Petty is who they're bringing up based on what we know about the front office. So yeah, I think we can both agree we'd like to see Burns. It would be awesome to see Burns, but it makes that, if they're going to die on that hill of making sure that he has enough quote unquote starts in AAA to, get used to the new ball or something like that, then, that's what we're just going to have to deal with, whether we like it or not, I guess.
Yeah. And isn't there a deadline coming up too for the extra year of team control for prospects?
I think actually that might have already passed.
Has it already passed? I knew it was like around this time of the year. And I about it with Roger on my show. It'd be hilarious if it was like tomorrow and then they promoted him the next day. But like, see, he wasn't ready until tomorrow, but he was good. But I obviously Chase Burns, he's the number one prospect in the farm system. Like he's obviously the better choice, even though he's only been in the Reds organization for less than a full season. And Chase Petty has been in with the Reds since 2022, I believe, at the trade deadline, right? And Chase Petty can be a really good pitcher. Obviously, he's not Chase Burns, but Chase Burns could be that elite Paul Skeens type player as well. So obviously, if everything was to work out the way you want it, like your rotation could look crazy. Like you could have Hunter Green, Andrew Abbott, Nick Lodolo, Chase Burns, and Rhett Lauder as your 1 through 5. And then like, if something happens to Lodolo, you throw in Chase Petty in there, and then that's a solid 5 too. Like that's a really good 5 for your rotation. It's just you wish that it comes down to Lauder, honestly, not being healthy. If he was healthy, Chase Petty wouldn't be put in this position, especially with how much he struggled in his debut and consequently his second game in Houston. Rhett Lauder, if he was healthy, he would be the guy called up, and you would be talking about Chase Petty coming up in the middle of the season, possibly August. And then you would still have these conversations about Burns, but it wouldn't be as necessary, I guess. Because it feels like the Chase Burns conversation is more out of necessity with needing a pitcher in the rotation with all the injuries. And I don't think they'd be talked about as much.
Chase Petty, you mean?
Yeah.
You said Chase Burns. Sorry. Yeah, it doesn't help that they all have C first names too. Yeah. I'm going to be messing. I'm going to call one of them Connor Burns at one point, I'm sure. But
and there is a Connor Burns in the he's a catcher.
Oh, okay.
It's rough.
Yeah.
There's too many.
But
names.
anyway, yeah. We're all on the same page here. It feels like we'd love to see Burns, but if Petty's what we're gonna have to deal with, then I guess we'll hope that he shows some progress. And I think that plays into why I think this game is so important, because we can get into the rest of the series. Tomorrow we have Chase Petty going against Sonny Gray, right? Their ace, who in fact was the person that the Reds traded to get Chase Petty. Fun fact, so that's kind of cool. 2 guys that were traded for each other, pitching against each other. But that's a big mismatch right there. Sonny Gray is still a 7-2 with a 3.84 ERA. Like he's still very good against a guy who has not shown that he can get outs very well in the majors. So that's why I think that this game is so important for winning this series, because if we chalk tomorrow up for a loss and we have Andrew Abbott going against Miles Michaelis, I like those odds, but it's like, it's going to be hard to win a series if we lose this first game, just because of the matchups we have in game 2. So I see bad trade down there. Well, it remains to be seen, right? Chase Petty is still 21 or 22. If he comes up and ends up being a very good pitcher, then I think that we may relook back on that trade and it may be better than what it seems like right now. But as of right now, he's still young, and we'll see how it goes. But
if I could add one more thing about Chase Petty, also during spring training, Austin Wins, he works out with Sonny Gray in the offseason. He also works out with Chase Petty, and when he was asked about Chase Petty, like he knew about he compared him to Sonny Gray. He said he's Sonny Gray with higher velocity, and obviously he's got to get the command. He's got to take the limit the walks. But if Sonny Gray is who Chase Petty could be, I mean that's a really good option. It's just obviously he's 21. I think he's about to turn 22, and he's just got a lot of work to do. But Chase Petty can be a really good pitcher. I know I've said this over and over again, but the catchers love him. I know Jose Trevino spoke very highly of him also. And when Austin Wynn said that, it made me think, because that's who he was traded for, and that's a good comp. He has a good breaking ball, a good changeup, and he's toned down his velocity a little bit, especially with the injury, but he's also toned it down to get more command. And if he could just get the command figured out, he could be a really good pitcher.
Yeah, I would love that too. I still think he definitely has a place in this organization. and he's still young, still learning how to pitch, and hopefully we'll be able to get some good glimpses of that tomorrow. We're running a little long here. We've had lots of talk. If you're just joining us, Connor Phillips has been called up and is probably going to be in the bullpen, and Chase Petty has been put on the taxi squad, most likely to start tomorrow's game because Wade Miley was put on the IL. So we did a lot to talk about these different. We spent a lot of time talking about the different transactions and things like that. But let's get to the what to watch for here. Do you have any thoughts on what to watch for specifically tonight's game and the matchup we have tonight?
Yeah, Ellie has hit a home run in 4 consecutive road games for the Reds. He had the one in Cleveland and he hit 3 straight in Detroit. That's a pretty significant, I think it's like a plus 400 bet. So, I mean, it's unlikely, but it could happen. And then TJ Friedl has at least one single in 9 of the Reds' last 10 games as an underdog opponent against NL Central teams.
Man, I love these polls you have. That's great. That's great. Yeah. Speaking of TJ Friedl, everyone needs to go and vote for him for the All-Star game. The fact that he wasn't even in the top 20 of outfielders is just criminal. TJ Friedl has been amazing, and the Reds wouldn't be here, I don't think, wouldn't be sitting in this position they were if they didn't have TJ Friedl. So go out and vote on that All-Star ballot. You get 5 a day. Do it all 5 every single day, and let's get TJ Friedl to the All-Star game. That would be excellent. My what to watch for is actually about Pallante again. So Pallante, I looked this up. This is very interesting. He is currently ranked 436th out of 457 qualified pitchers in net bases prevented on StatCast. And what that means is that he is very bad at holding runners and preventing runners from stealing bases off him. That's a career. In his career, he's been bad. And so far this year, he's had 8 stolen bases attempted off of him. 7 of those ended up in steals, and the last one ended up as a balk that ended up advancing the runners anyway. So he is not very good at holding runners, and that's the bottom 4% of the league. The catcher behind the plate, Pedro Pajes, is in the 66% in caught stealing, above average. So he's okay, pretty good pop time and a decent arm, but Pallante is very bad at holding runners. So I guess what to watch for is if we see the running Reds today. We get a couple guys on, maybe guys on first base, whether we see some guys try to take off and take second base, and we try to cause some havoc that way. That'd be pretty cool to see if we can take advantage of Pallante's slow delivery. So that's my what to watch for there.
Yeah, and with Contreras out too. I mean, that's that could be something else too. I don't know how
Contreras has been playing mostly first base, but
he has. I think he caught the last series. I think he caught at least a game.
Oh, did he? Oh,
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know how Pajes' arm compares to Contreras, but I did notice that Contreras has been playing a lot of first base as well.
All right. So now we get to our crystal ball portion of the program. WTI Trader has already jumped in. But everyone, please post in the chat where or what you think the score is going to be tonight. WTI Trader says Reds 8, Cardinals 3. Go Reds. I love that. I love that we've got a bunch of Reds wins here. So while we have some people posting in the chat on what we think the score is going to be, Ricky, you get to give us your prediction.
I think we are going to get back on track after the not so great game against Minnesota yesterday. And I think we're going to put some runs on the board. I think we're going to get to Pallante. We're going to, he's going to walk some guys. He's going to get into some trouble. And I think the Reds are going to take this game 7-2.
7-2. I like that, man. That'd be a nice, relaxing game on my couch. I would take that. I appreciate that.
While we're getting some people in the chat posting their scores, Ned Flanders posted, when do we get Carson Spires back? So I did a little research. CBS News or CBS Sports posted a thing about him that he threw a second bullpen session on Tuesday. There's no indication on when a rehab assignment may start, but with him throwing, that's a good indication that he could begin a rehab assignment within the next couple weeks or so.
Nice. That's the level of commitment you get here. You get questions asked, and Ricky will go run it down for you. I love it. All right.
Try my best.
Yeah. All right. So you said 7-2 Reds.
7-2,
right?
yes.
We got 6-3. I'm assuming you mean Reds based on the LFG.
He's optimistic.
Yeah, optimistic. Thinks we're winning 6-3. That's good. TC Thompson says, well, you can't have them both, but 5-3 Red or 4-2 Reds. Either way, a 2-run lead. He's going to bet Reds by 2 is what he's going to do. Nader Tater says 4-3 Reds. Ellie homers twice. I'd love that. That sounds great. Road Ellie homering again. Daryl Morrow says 6-3 Reds. Lance George says 14-3 Reds. Boy,
we don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want that. We want more runs tomorrow.
Yeah, we have shown that when we score a bunch of runs, we do.
If we're going to score 14, we need to score it with Chase Petty on the mound.
That's right. Because then we might win 14-12.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ned Flanders, welcome to the chat, Ned. Reds 5, Cardinals 4. I like that. Hopefully it'll be a happy Friday crew after that. We have Connor with 5-3. I'm assuming he
Will Benson
Reds.
home run.
Oh, Will Benson homer. I like that. He's a fun guy to root for. Hopefully we get something like that. Dunny 17, 7-5 Reds. I like all the we don't have a single Cardinals winning, so that's good. Now I think I filibustered for long enough. It's my turn to it's my turn to get a prediction here. So I think the Reds do score, get to Pallante. They've shown in his past 2 starts against them that they are they're starting to figure him out. He's starting to figure out what he's going. And Connor Joe goes yards in a pinch hit appearance, apparently, is what Optimistic John says. That would be great. He's not in the lineup, so that'd be even more impressive. But I think that the Reds score 6 runs, but Brady Singer brings it tonight. Brady Singer goes 7 strong, and then we see the bullpen finish it out, and we see only 1 run from the Cardinals, and we have a win, 6-1 Reds, and a nice way to get this series off to a good start. So that's my prediction, 6-1 Reds. We have 7-3 Reds by Justin Mendel. I'm loving all of the positivity. Yeah, let's just speak these things into existence. Steer homer, Benson homer, Connor Joe homer, Garrett Hampson homer. I don't care.
Garrett Hampson's going to have a cycle.
Yeah, actually, if I would prefer that Garrett Hampson not get an at bat here. But anyway, that's about all I have. Make sure you join the post-game show tonight. It is, I believe, Eric and Corey T back on there. And Optimistic John, I should have known. Of course, Espinal picks up his first home run of the year as a pinch hit home run. The biggest Espinal stand out there. Optimistic John, I love it. Thanks for living up to your name. But I think that does it for us. Thank you for joining in. Thanks for the good discussion. He's due. Boy, he's been due for a while. But thanks again for joining in. I appreciate all of the support. Go out and like the stream. Likes equals wins. Subscribe to Chatterbox Reds. Tune in tonight to Eric and Corey T. And make sure you go vote for TJ Friedel for All-Star. That would be great too. I'd love to see him support or representing the Reds out there this year at the Fall Classic or the Summer Classic. So do you got anything else for me, Ricky, before we say goodbye?
No, just go Reds.